Hi everybody, Dr. Bob Vaughn, your local health and wellness expert. And today I'd like to talk about how chiropractic works and more specifically some of the myths that are out there about how often you need to be adjusted, why you need to be adjusted that often, because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of misunderstanding, and that confusion is stopping people from getting the care that they need. I say this because a lot of people, number one reason for visits to medical doctors is lower back pain, and the typical prescription for that would be painkillers, opioid painkillers, which is leading to the opioid epidemic, which has been all over the news everywhere. Opioid deaths are up because they're highly addictive, they're dangerous, and they're really just covering up the symptoms. Obviously, nobody thinks that it's an opioid addiction or an opioid deficiency that is causing your back pain, neck pain, headaches, things like that. So one of the questions we get a lot is, well, how come I have to come back? Like, can't you just adjust it and then it's back in place and then everything's good and working again? And I really wish it was that simple and easy, but the truth of the matter is it's a lot like weight loss. So let's pretend that for 10 years you ate nothing but cheeseburgers and fries and you didn't exercise, and for 10 years you put on a bunch of extra weight. Let's say you put on 50 pounds, okay? Now, if you ate one salad and worked out one time, would you expect that you would lose 50 pounds from doing that? And the answer is probably no, if you're realistic, right? We'd all love if it was that simple, but that's not how things work. The same thing is true with healing as far as with our body, specifically with our spine. So what we're doing when we're adjusting is we're restoring joint movement. So every joint in your body is designed to move freely, whether it's in your feet, ankles, knees, and your spine, and your brain requires those movement signals in order to function properly. So what happens when you get a stuck joint, or it's called a subluxation, a joint that's not moving properly, is it deprives or robs your brain of movement or proprioceptive signals, and it floods it with nociceptive or essentially pain signals. And what that does is it triggers the stress response in your body, fight or flight. And fight or flight stress response leads to muscle spasm, pain, numbness, tingling, headaches, a lot of the symptoms that you experience. Now, when you get adjusted, we move that joint again and restore that movement. That's where you can get some of that relief. And some people get a lot of relief right off the bat with it, but it doesn't necessarily last super long to start off with, because every time that we move the bone or adjust you, the body, it still has the muscle spasm, it still has the weak muscles, the instabilities, the lifestyle things, environmental things that you've been doing that led up to this for, even though your symptoms may have only been around that day, a couple weeks, something like that, usually the problem's been lingering much longer than that. Months to years is what we're seeing with the research and what we see with other people. So it's the same thing as saying, well, like, I ate cheeseburgers and fries for several years and I gained 50 pounds. How come I can't just eat one salad and exercise one time and lose all that weight? That's the equivalent to saying, well, why can't I just get one adjustment and just magically feel better? And that's where it works. So it's really important to make sure that you're getting adjusted on a regular basis, especially if you're symptomatic, because every time we adjust you, it builds on the effectiveness of the last. So we keep that joint moving, kind of like if you have a rusty hinge on a door. If you just throw the door open once, it'll creak and crack, and the door will open, but if you want that hinge to be functioning properly again, you're going to need to move that hinge back and forth multiple times. You're going to need to lubricate it with some oil to get that loosened up, and over time and repetition, you will get a healthy functioning hinge again on the door. Your spine works that same way. The joints need to move on a regular basis. They're hydrated and lubricated with omega-3s, water, but also movement. The discs between your vertebrae, the cushions in between each bone in your back, are hydrated through movement. So when you sit still all day, say if you sit at a desk job and you sit there for 8 hours a day, your spine gets zero movement. Those discs start to dehydrate, they start to wear out. You think of people that do this, desk jockeys that from like 18 to 65, they sit 8 hours a day, and you wonder by the time, their 30s, 40s, even sometimes in their 20s, they already have back pain, and then they wonder why they have it. So I want to make sure we're dispelling that myth about the frequency. It has nothing to do with that we want you to come in forever and ever and ever, or the old joke where, how many chiropractors does it take to change a light bulb? One, but he's got to do it 3 times a week for 4 weeks, right? We've heard all those types of stereotypes and things like that, but it's really important to understand the why behind what we're doing, and that's the why behind the frequency. To help put it in perspective, if you look at it as far as like chronic disease treatment. So let's say you had high blood pressure and you went to your medical doctor and they prescribe you a blood pressure pill that's going to artificially lower your blood pressure, right? they're essentially treating you every single time you take that pill. So if you're taking that pill every day, they're treating you every single day. But nobody talks about how many times they get treated by the medical doctor in that case with it. When we use an adjustment, we're using our hands to adjust you, and that's something that requires coming into the office to get adjusted for that, to make sure that it's moving on a regular basis, which is the same type of thing. So if you look at the number of treatments, relatively when you look at what a treatment actually is, you're actually probably getting treated less times through a chiropractor than you are through a medical doctor, because every time you take that pain pill, you're essentially being treated if that's what's been prescribed. The problem with a lot of pain pills, again, is that they cover up the symptom. Nobody believes, and you can comment below if you do believe this, but nobody believes your back pain is due to a deficiency of ibuprofen, or a deficiency of acetaminophen, or a deficiency of some sort of painkiller, or a Flexerol. Your muscle spasm is due to a deficiency or not having enough Flexerol floating around in your system. Nobody believes that, but that's how we treat those types of symptoms. Pain is your body telling you that there's something wrong, and I've talked about this in some of our other videos and other podcasts, so feel free to check those out. But pain is an indicator that there's an actual problem. Pain isn't the problem. So pain is the symptom, not the actual problem. You need to find what the cause of that problem is. And a lot of times with the joint pain, back pain, neck, back, things like that, a lot of times the base of the problem is subluxation or stuck joints, weak muscles, scar tissue that's been there from a lot of environmental things. So it's really important to make sure that you're addressing that underlying cause and addressing it consistently enough. Like I said with our earlier analogy, if you were trying to lose weight and you ate cheeseburgers and fries and didn't exercise for 10 years, how long of eating salads and exercising on a regular basis do you think it's going to take for you to lose that 50 pounds that you put on? Average weight loss it's maintainable is about 1 to 2 pounds a week. So I mean, you're looking at about 6-7 months of consistency with that to lose that. Realistically, same thing with chiropractic. When your spine has been used and abused and worn out to the point where it's giving you pain, numbness, tingling, things like that, it's going to take more than probably a couple treatments to get things moving the right way, not just to get you out of pain, but to really get it fixed and stabilized. And that doesn't have to do with anyone wanting to see you more, wanting to charge more money, or any of that type of stuff. It has to do with physiology and biology, about how our bodies are designed. And if you elect to get kind of that call me when you need me type treatment, you might get some temporary relief starting off. You'll get adjusted a couple times and you'll probably feel better, which is awesome. There's amazing power with that adjustment. But what you'll find is that over years and years of doing that, the episodes of pain will get more frequent. They'll get bigger. You'll have more pain. It'll seem like they take longer to get back under control. A patient the other day who's had some of this type of care in the past said, yes, I don't get it. It's like I come in, I get adjusted, I feel better, but it seems like this one's taking longer. Well, he's been doing that for, decades. And you think if you're just covering up that little check engine light with a piece of tape on your dashboard instead of figuring out why it's coming on in the first place, eventually your engine's going to seize up. That same thing happens in our bodies. So I really want to make sure that people are getting the information they need with that. There are a lot of great resources out there. Dr. James Chestnut has a lot of great resources on there that are based on actual research, not just in the chiropractic community, but in the medical community, neuroimmunology, a lot of other things that are looking at the importance of that joint movement and proprioception. And how that spinal manipulation or the chiropractic adjustment is designed to restore that and really help work together with that. So this is Dr. Bob Vaughn, your local health and wellness expert. Hopefully if you have any questions, feel free to comment below, share, contact us here. We're really here to get more information out so people can be as healthy as possible. And my mission is to help create a world that is free of chronic pain and chronic illness and help make being healthy, simple, easy, and fun. So I hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to share. Have an awesome day, and remember, good health is a choice only you can make.